Friday the 29th of October, 2021. I'm Keith Ward, and welcome to another episode of Homeless on the Space Coast. Happy Halloween, kind of in the spirit of Halloween, and out here kind of dressed up. Really not dressed up is my guest, and what is your name, ma'am?
Holly G.
Holly G, and you are not dressed as a person experiencing homelessness. You actually are experiencing homelessness, correct?
I am experiencing homelessness, unfortunately.
Okay. And how old are you, Holly?
41.
Okay, I'm just stick that mic right there.
Okay.
Okay, you're 41 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And are you out here alone? You out here with your family?
My husband is out here with me as well.
Okay, and how old is he?
49.
And when you say husband, so you guys are legally married?
Legally married, yes.
Okay. And you've asked me to blur your face
yes,
for
please.
this interview. And why is that? Why do you feel it's best that I blur your image?
Just, with the recognition, I might get a lot of negative attention.
Okay. You said negative attention. What you kind of really mean is legal stuff, right?
Yes, correct.
Some
DCF issues. Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about that? Because that sort of ties directly in on why you're homeless, doesn't it?
Very true, yes.
Okay. So tell me about what happened and when and all those kind of things.
October 5th of last year.
Okay.
We lived on Colony Park Drive. We had our own home. Yes, we were technically living off grid, but we were surviving, and we were doing well.
You were living off grid. What does that mean?
Well, we had a generator for power.
Okay.
And we had access to clean water at any time.
Okay.
And my son, who's 15, at the time he was only 14, but he had access to food anytime he wanted. He knew how to cook, so there was a way to cook food. We had coolers to keep, cold stuff cold. So more or less we were surviving, but we were told that, that was considered neglect on a child's basic needs.
So basically your child was taken from you because you're poor.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And I mean, my son at the time, he had a violent temper, unfortunately, and did not know how to control it. And we had just come back from a whole weekend at Cocoa Beach. A very nice weekend, actually. Days in, breakfast on the beach, all that fun stuff. The whole weekend, actually. And I really don't remember as to what set him off, but
Had he had mental illness?
He does have mental issues, yes.
He does.
Yes.
What kind of things has he been diagnosed with?
Along the years, he's been diagnosed with ADHD, reactive attachment disorder, DMDD. I don't know the whole term for that, so please don't ask me.
Okay.
PTSD, antisocial disorder, anxiety. And by the time he was 7 years old, he had been on so many meds that he was a walking zombie. So by the time he turned 12, he came to my husband and I and said, "Mom, Dad, can we have Dr. Jane," which was his pediatrician at the time through PhD Pediatrics, wean him off the meds. And they tried to get us for medical neglect at that time, and there was no reason for it due to the fact that he was wanting off the meds. I mean, he was spitting them out anyway.
Okay, and plus, you have your control as a parent.
Yes.
You're a parent, right?
Or so I thought.
Yeah, right. And you were saying that your son didn't miss school, right? He went to school on a regular basis.
He went to school on a regular basis. I mean, a couple of years ago, we did have issues where that Lindsay Thorenson or whatever her name was. Mm-hmm. My son goes to Fieldston Prep here in Titusville.
Is that a normal school? Is that a behavioral school?
It's an alternative school for children who have social issues, behavioral issues. More or less, it helps. It's more of a controlled environment for children who cannot deal with school. So.
Okay.
But I mean, I never missed an IEP meeting. We never missed a doctor's appointment. I mean, I did my darndest to, be a good mom for the first 5 years of his life. I mean, it was Dad who, raised him pretty much because I worked all the time. And I mean, I don't understand.
you complied with everything that DCF asked of you.
Correct.
And how long were they in your life? How long have they been in your life?
Since October 5th of last year.
Okay, and then from that...
Well, no, September 24th of last year, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is when they first came to my house.
Okay, and then from that, like, how long was it after that they removed him from your home?
October 5th is when he was removed from me. He was taken to the hospital on false allegations that he had been beaten. And actually, he was the one who was physically assaulting me, and my husband pulled him off of me in a bear hug. And because it was raining that day, and my husband had his watch on, it scraped up his arm, his shoulder, and his neck. And they tried to say that my husband was hurting my son, and in all reality, when the truth came out, Judge Friedland dropped it. February 3rd, I'll never forget the day, is when they called, or the state attorney's office called and said that charges were dropped. And they tried to get my husband for felony battery by strangulation or something. So that was the main reason that my son was removed. And then when I tried to explain the allegations of my son being physically abusive towards me, they's like, Liat May, which was the CI at the hospital, Cape Canaveral Hospital, matter of fact. But yet if my son was afraid of me, why did my son insist on me being in the room with him? That's what I didn't understand, and I didn't find out that my husband had gone to jail until I got back to the house.
So obviously he's out of jail now, and you guys are on your way to getting your son back, or so
correct.
You think. And you were telling me that you even have a visit tomorrow.
Yes.
Is it supervised or unsupervised?
Unsupervised.
So an unsupervised visit tells me a lot. It tells me that you're trusted by the courts.
Yes.
And things
Judge
like that.
McKibben was the one who, along with his guardian ad litem, my attorney, my husband's attorney, DCF or Family Allies was the only one that was technically against it, although I myself have passed every drug screen that they've snatched from me. I mean, the last one I wasn't able to oblige to because I was at work.
Okay.
I mean, but we have been embarrassed at a couple of locations where our DCM from Family Allies has shown up. Like one night she showed up at Denny's up here. We were out to eat with my brother, and it was 9 o'clock at night. And then another time she showed up at Life Point Ministries, the church over on Hopkins. Mm-hmm. She showed up there wanting us to do a drug screen there. And then
so they weren't going to take you to a lab.
No, I've never done.
To do it right then. See, and
we've never done it at a lab. We've always done it at the office, or they've came to us.
And those are very inaccurate. I don't know, but I had a couple a few years ago. They turned out to be disastrous people. Mm-hmm. But I will say, in their defense, DCF wanted them to take a drug test in a McDonald's bathroom.
Yeah.
And the couple refused, and they said, it isn't that we're refusing the test, we're refusing the location.
Yeah.
If you take us over to LabCorp or LabQuest or whatever, and you have a lab draw the blood or do the urine, we're willing to do it, but there are too many false negatives from people who don't know how to read those.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know that, but that
false positives too.
False positives, that's what I mean,
yeah.
False positives, I'm sorry, you corrected me.
Yeah.
False positives. And this situation that I had dealt with, DCF this time with these people, they showed up an hour and a half late. Then they didn't show up with the car seats they needed. Then they said it was going to further delay the meeting another 90 minutes. And then the woman said, well, we can't meet with you because of these conditions. And then DCF said, well, we're just going to put on your form that you're not being cooperative and all these things. And I thought, had I not videotaped and had all the audio, no one would believe that this was true, that DCF, like, had I not been there, I would not have believed it.
Yeah.
So you were telling me you get this unsupervised visit, and where do you get this unsupervised visit?
Well, we have to meet at IHOP on 520 in Cocoa.
Okay, 520 in Cocoa, but
over by Sam's Club.
Okay, we don't want to give an exact location, but we would say that within walking distance would be the IHOP in Titusville. Correct.
Which means that she could take 95 and be here in a matter of minutes.
Okay, so how are you? You guys got a car, right?
No.
You don't. So how are you going to get to this visit?
The bus.
So you have to get up in your tent from your camp, go catch a bus for how long does it take to get over?
Well, I mapped it earlier, and it says 8:30 is what time I'd have to catch the bus at the bus location where we have to catch the bus at, and then it would take us until about 5 minutes to 10. So about an hour and a half. Because we'd have to change
That's with no...
from bus 2 to bus 1 and then 1 to 8.
That's without a margin for error. So really, you need to be probably 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes early to that, and then you have to count on them showing up 5 or 10 minutes late. And if you're 5 or 10 minutes late, what happens? Do you get to see your son?
Yes.
You do?
That is one thing that she's been real good with. When we were doing the therapeutic supervised visits, we would actually have to get dropped off by the bus after getting up at 7 in the morning, catching the bus, and then it's, let's see, 6, 1, 29, 28, and then getting dropped off at Sarno and Wickham and walking 1.5 miles to over by the Brevard Health Alliance on Sarno Road, the big medplex, and to visit. And then the therapist, she would do a lot of things that were inappropriate, like A, ending the visit 30 to 40 minutes early, B, going, like, she'd only open the women's bathroom, and then my son would go to the restroom and she would go in there as well. While my son is using the restroom, she'd go in there and use the restroom.
That's a little strange.
Yeah, so that was brought up in court, and that's when Judge McKibben said, okay, enough is enough. You know, why aren't we trying to do unsupervised with this family so that they can get their child back?
You know, IHOP is a public place, and when you visit a public place like that, you have what's called no reasonable expectation of privacy, meaning if you were to pull your cell phone out and start recording, of course, you couldn't follow them into the bathroom with their phone because that's where your privacy begins, but you could videotape with your phone if you had one, the two of them walking into the bathroom together. There'd be nothing anyone could do about that, and then you'd have the actual hard video proof. So if that ever happens again, you're ever in that position, I would hope you would take your phone out. And if someone tells you can't record, that is not true. Like I said, legally, no one has an expectation of privacy. So I want to ask you something else. Talk to your husband a little bit. He did not want to be part of this interview, participate in this. He's quite angry with the whole thing, and I certainly can understand that. He said that you guys gave up a $40,000 home and became homeless because of DCF. So explain to me how DCF directly was involved or led to you losing your home.
They said that it was structurally unsafe for my son to be there, but after he had been removed, it was clean. I mean, it was always clean. I mean, it needed a lot of repairs, and we were in the process of repairing. Delight McGregan, through Yellow Umbrella, actually came to my house to do an evaluation, and she said that she saw nothing wrong with my home.
And were they willing to put this in writing for you?
She spoke up in court, or she spoke to my attorney and spoke up in court. But.
And do you guys own this home anymore? Do you have it?
No, it's gone. I hate it.
What happened? Did you receive any proceeds from the sale of the house, or did the state just take it? Like, was it paid off?
It was paid off.
It was paid off?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happened to the proceeds? Who's living in it now?
I don't know. We don't know who's living in it now.
How
the last time we rode through there, it was trashed.
So as far as you know, it's still vacant?
No, there's people in it. But also, there was a woman that lived across the street, and it was in the original emergency shelter report, which I don't have anymore because everything got wet. But it was the fact that the lady across the street had managed to call the cops on us, fire department, animal control. I mean, this woman that lived across the street from us, she was a nightmare. And then I got accused of being mentally unstable, so I am on meds, even though I really don't like it, because I don't like anything that alters the mind or the body, you know, because in a way that kind of, when you use something to alter the body or the mind especially, they can more or less declare you incompetent then. And that's not right.
Are you court ordered to take these meds?
I am court ordered to be med compliant, and
so you're complying with the order, even though you don't want to?
Correct. Complying with the fact that I'm working a job that, yes, I like, but
doesn't pay much.
It doesn't pay much because I travel from Titusville all the way to, you know, and then I tried to talk to my boss today because I do have things that I have to do on Thursday. She has me scheduled, but I have an appointment for my labs to be done. I have an appointment for my son to have his tattoo removed. Yes, he's 15 and had a tattoo that just, it didn't agree. And then also...
Did you give him permission to get the tattoo?
I didn't even know about it. This was when he was on the run. See, that's another thing. I mean, they were telling the judge that, matter of fact, that our judicial review in January, matter of fact, the review had stated that I had done nothing. I had refused a drug screen that they offered me, that I was told to do back in December 17th. Matter of fact, I remember the date still, because I had to pay somebody $15 to give me a ride to and from Rockledge. And it was crazy because we sat out there in the cold for an hour. And I texted the person, I said, look, I said, if you're not coming out, I'm leaving. I said, because it's cold out here.
So, so I don't want you to give an actual company name, but where are you working?
In Cocoa.
In Cocoa, at one of these, let's say, dollar-themed stores? Okay, and about how much do you make an hour?
$10 an hour.
Make $10 an hour, okay. So just small amount above minimum wage.
Well, they just upped minimum wage to $10 an hour.
Oh, so it's minimum wage?
Yes.
And how many hours a week do you generally get?
8, 9.
That's it, 8 or 9. So most of the money you're getting is just so that you can go back to work.
Or survive for a day or two out here.
Oh my God. So what are you doing? How are you guys surviving? How are you guys feeding yourselves?
With the kindness of others.
Right, because I've seen your post on the homeless.
I know my friend April told you about me.
Yeah, that you guys were over here.
Yeah.
And how about clothing? Where do you guys get your clothing from?
Well, we had a whole bunch of clothes, but the people who were staying within Cocoa, the situation, it got to where I was being bullied on a daily basis by someone who said she was my friend. And
was this out in the woods too, homeless, or in somebody's house?
It was in somebody's house.
Okay.
But the situation, it got really bad because, I mean, her boyfriend, husband, whatever he is, I mean, he would get violent and, like, just scare the living crap out of me or call me really nasty names, which I'm not going to say on camera because I do not want to repeat that because there's one word that sets me off. And, I mean, any woman called that word, I don't wish that kind of life or this kind of life on anybody. I mean, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of mindset, like, okay, you know, this is only temporary, but... Right,
you're trying to do the best you can mentally, hold up and do this. So when you lost your home, what happened? Did the sheriffs actually put you out?
No, we walked away.
You walked away. So they didn't put a notice on the door? Now,
no.
How did you know that you were being thrown out then?
Well, we weren't thrown out. We walked away because DCF, the CI, Rhonda D, from actual DCF, had told us that, you know, our home was not sufficient enough. And more or less, when we went for our first court hearing, Judge Taylor, she told us point blank that my son was safer at Crosswinds than he is with me.
Okay.
And 2 years ago, my son was stabbed in the face by another child at Crosswinds. And
wow.
Yeah, he was Baker acted twice while at Crosswinds. He ran away 3 times. First time he ran all the way to Palm Bay, down by Port Malabar. And I didn't know for 8 hours. I would call Crosswinds and ask questions, and they wouldn't give me no information.
And had he been a troubled child before all this happened?
Yeah.
He
had issues. You know, but I mean, it was just the kids he was hanging out with out there and where we lived at, and
you had him in therapy and things. You said you were taking him to a therapist, and
at the time he was medicated. I mean, but
so you were doing all you could as a parent.
Yeah. But at the same time, he didn't want to take the meds, so he asked us to help wean him off of them. And so I agreed, you know, I'm not going to force my son to do something that, you know, he particularly doesn't feel that's best for him.
As a right as a parent to make that choice. Mm-hmm. And if it's not working out, then to reverse course.
Yeah.
You know. So what is holding up you being reunited with your son now?
The fact that we don't have a home.
Because you guys don't have a home.
Correct.
And what have you guys done to try to get a home now?
I have
gone to Coalition for the Homeless?
I have contacted them. Matter of fact, I got to call them back on Monday because I missed a call from her.
Okay.
Her name is Cassandra. She said something about she's a housing coordinator person. Also, I've applied at Titusville Housing Authority, Cocoa Housing Authority, gone online and talked to people on my own and, asked about homes that they have for rent and whatnot. I've contacted people where we used to live at in Port St. John. Unfortunately, they don't have any openings. I did contact Open Bar Charities here in Titusville, and due to the fact that we are living on the streets.
Okay, so I'm stitching this together. I told you that it quit recording for some reason, and you had some things you wanted to share that you had written, and I didn't want to put your video out there without the things you wrote, because I just thought what you wrote was like really beautiful.
Thank you.
Because we were pretty much done where the interview cut off. We just didn't get this in, and like I said, I wanted.
Okay, I gotta find it again. It's in my oh, there it is. Okay. It's called Homeless, Life on the Streets. Well, the idea of being homeless, I never thought for a minute I'd have to do it ever again. People think it's easy being homeless. Well, they're wrong. It's a struggle every day to survive, and it makes you realize just how cold the world really is. I just think to myself, well, this is how it would be if the zombie apocalypse did come. Yes, I know, guys, viewers, that it's fiction, but still. Yes, I know I've watched too much Walking Dead. I just had that at dinner. The whole homeless thing has given me a hardcore look into reality, and my heart goes out to those who are experiencing life as society's discarded and forgotten, as people just don't want to take the time or feel compassion for others, as all that does is show how selfish the world really is. I don't wish this life on anyone. It's definitely not for faint of heart or weak. It takes strength and faith to stand up and say, yes, I am homeless. Yes, this situation isn't the greatest, but within the heart, say, I got this, and we'll come out on top again. Just gotta have patience, faith, strength, and perseverance. The loneliest time in a person's life is when you've hit rock bottom and you think to yourself, only place left to go is up. Which is true. Makes me want to strive to push myself to get out of this hole. Makes me realize that at the drop of a hat, you're on top 1 minute, and the next you're struggling at rock bottom. All I can say is, don't take people for granted, show love and kindness towards everyone, and never forget in a split second your life could change.
And you had another one you wrote too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a poem that I really...
These are really great. I think you could be a writer or a blogger or something.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it. Wolfie's back to working on about it. Pretend. No one to talk to, no one really to listen. How my loving home has become my prison. The baby I cherished, the child I adored, has somehow changed into my personal tormentor. Did I do something? Was I to blame? I created this monster. I am so ashamed. Screaming and threatening me, I can't take any more. Beating until my body is bruised, bleeding, and sore. Child beating their parent, it's hard to comprehend. That's the reason why everything's normal, or I pretend. And unfortunately, that is based off experience. But my son has done a complete 360, and he now realizes that he needs to treasure his mommy instead of, being mean and nasty.
Right now that
he's got, yeah, exactly. And the time that we get to spend together, he treasures it, and I'm glad that we have it. But
well, I'm really glad you could meet back up with me. And
I got one more if you want to hear it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, I do. I do want to
It's actually interesting. It's about my time at Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
Hold on. I actually wrote it the last time all of us were at the beach together. See if I can find it. All I'm saying, viewers, is don't treat others how you don't want to be treated. Remember, treat others with kindness and love, and most likely you'll get karma bites you one way or another. So whether it be positive or negative karma, think twice before how you treat someone, especially someone in my situation. Or, God forbid, you pass by a veteran who's sitting on the side of the road with a sign that says homeless, veteran, needs help, anything, God bless. Don't throw your nose in the air at them. That's one thing I've always
Yeah. And hopefully, maybe next time we'll be able to do this video unblurred. Oh, and you said since the few days ago that we did the original interview that your bike was stolen, yes. So you need a bicycle now. Mm-hmm. And you said you possibly might be able to see your son real soon. So you got some
on Saturday for an overnight visit, hopefully.
Wow. So you got some bad news of the bike being stolen, and some good news being able to see your son.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really appreciate you meeting up with me again.
You're welcome. There he goes. He's such a speed demon on that thing. He scares me half the time.
Yeah, he scared me coming through there.
All right, here we go. Well, actually, it was a month before all this happened, but sitting here on Cocoa Beach, watching the waves hit the shore, I sit and think to myself how peaceful and quiet it really is here. Sit and think, where are the waves going? Where are they coming from? Just like the start of a new day, every time a wave crashes, a new one forms. Thinking where my life has gone, and honestly what I have truly accomplished in my life in 40 years. I have 2 beautiful, happy, healthy children I adore, a husband who, although is a pain in my butt some days, but is with me through thick and thin no matter what. Honestly, I don't know how he puts up with me some days, because there are days I can't stand to be around myself. Up, down, right, wrong, no matter what, when it's all said and done, he has my back completely. I am hard on him, and in my heart, I love that man with everything I got. I question some days why he stays with me or puts up with me or my attitude. He's definitely a special kind of person, and I'm lucky to have him by my side. My kids, they are beautiful, happy, healthy, and my greatest accomplishment. Not a day goes by that they aren't on my mind and my heart. God blessed me the night that they were born. I have to say I am blessed in so many ways, but my family, they are my biggest blessing and my accomplishment.
Some really beautiful writing.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you sharing it. I just really think it's great. I appreciate you sharing it with everyone.
That's how I've meant, so that I don't be angry and lash out at others, or
It's kind of for your own mental health.
Exactly, but I also wake up some days cranky and think to myself, what a crappy situation I'm in. But you know what? I look around and I'm like, I opened my eyes today. I'm here today. I'm able to spend another day on this earth to see my son, to be reunited with my son, hopefully.
That's real positive. I don't know if I can be that positive in your situation.
I was down for a long time, but you know what? I'm supposed to be on meds, and honestly, I take them occasionally. But a lot of times I don't like the way they make me feel, because like I said before, mentally, I don't like that mental feeling to where you're groggy and can't think straight. So I just think to myself, I'm like, well, if I'm going to have a bad day, I might as well turn it right. If I'm going to have a good day, I look at it this way. My son's alive. My daughter's alive. My husband and myself are alive. The people that I've encountered in this world, whether it be good or bad, you know what? They'll be the ones who have to face God on Judgment Day. I will too.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to make the best out of whatever situation I'm in. And it shocked me when my case manager supervisor yesterday called my husband and I survivors. And
survivors of what?
Life.
Oh, life. Okay.
I mean, we were close to this living out where we lived at in Merritt Island as well. I mean, we were technically living off grid. And some people agreed with it, some didn't. But you know what? No one has the right to judge anybody.